His name is Bricky, and Space Wolves. But before we get into that, if you enjoy today's episode of the podcast, and maybe you feel like supporting us, heading over to patreon.com/Adeptus Ridiculous, where you can get access to the Discord, bloopers if they happen. The $15 tier gets you access to all of our posters in crispy HD digital form. So patreon.com/Adeptus Ridiculous. And golly gee willikers, did you know that we have a new poster? And man, if I wanted to buy said poster in physical form, Bricky, where, pray tell, would I go?
Oh my god, if you want to get the beautiful humanity's finest poster, you can check out orchidate.com. Link in the description to get yourself the first ever 2024 poster. And if you're not feeling that, try out some little guy merchandise, hoodies, t-shirts. Also, we got mats and stuff, all kinds of great stuff. Check it out in the description, orchidate.com.
Hooray!
And, I think we're still figuring out what we want to do for the book.
Oh, for the book club, right? We kind of, we didn't know what we were gonna do. Have we gotten any feedback from people?
All right, well, so
Apparently Shy wants War Boss really bad. She is spamming the Discord with War Boss.
This is one of the reasons why I decided to be like, maybe we should wait. Because I don't know if Shy has anything, and now I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 War Boss comments here. So perhaps War Boss is what we should be reading.
Are we setting that in stone?
Yeah, why not? We'll read War Boss.
Oh, we're reading War. Well, are you sure? Because we put a lot of other options up there for the people.
It's fine. Let's let Shy actually take part in a book club for once.
Okay, War Boss it is. War Boss it is.
Hell yeah! Also, a couple neat things. For one, check this out. They added a Master of Whispers Necromunda model, and it's like from the opening of Rogue Trader. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Hey, look at that.
But significantly more important, check this out, dude.
Okay. Why is the cat in the watermelon?
He's not in the watermelon. He's on the watermelon.
It looks like he's hatching from the watermelon.
So anyway, Space Wolves, yeah?
Space Wolves!
Space Wolves!
Space Wolves! Ow!
That was actually pretty good.
Thank you.
Wait, what's the song that opens like that? Oh wait, no, it's Immigrant Song or whatever, isn't it?
Oh.
The one that was played in Thor Ragnarok.
Nope, don't remember.
It's not. As usual, I have comments from viewers who want to actually from the Primarch episode. I know exactly which one you're referring to, Shy. I screwed up, and it wasn't the lion that stabbed Russ. He punched him and knocked him out in the face, right? That's one of them. Yeah, I got that one. I know that's one of my actualies.
Oh, also, hey, I said I was talking about the Fates, and that's Greek. That's not Norse. That's Greek mythology. So
Are the Fates Greek?
Yeah, because they were in Hercules. Hercules is the Greek mythology, right?
Well, I don't normally take my history from the Disney movies.
From Disney movies, right? Yeah, here I am, Mr. Smart Guy.
Shy's got some actualies for me, which is fair. I knew less. I knew probably the least about Russ out of most of the Primarchs before the episode. So,
all right, hit us with the actualies. Yep.
1. People find it funny how a literal wolf was a better parent than an emperor. That's not actually. That's just a fact.
That's just funny and true. Yeah.
All right, that's number 1. Number 2. Leman did manage to stab Horus. Oh yeah, he tried to, but couldn't bring himself. He hesitated and it didn't actually properly do the thing, right?
Oh, well, Shy says Leman did manage to stab Horus with the spear that brings out the true version of the self, and it worked.
Oh.
However, the non-Chaos Horse that came out still concluded that the Emperor was an evil monster that had to be destroyed, so he went right back to being his chaos-corrupted self. The spear hit caused Horus to fall into a coma, which cost the traitors months of stalling and gave the Loyalists time to reinforce, so it wasn't totally pointless. Oh, so it's because he got stabbed that they had time to, kind of,
Wow, why didn't I see that part? I could have...
Yeah.
Wow, whatever resource I was using glossed over that. Holy hell. All right.
Damn.
That's a good point. Oh, yeah, okay. Number 3 is the Lion Russ fight. Yeah, that was the thing. There were the 2 fights. The first one was the sucker punching Russ and knocking him out, and the second one was post heresy, and that's when he stabbed him. And then eventually, and then there was an additional, or well, I guess it's like 3 kind of things.
Russ said he never wanted to fight any of his brothers again. Lion then stabbed Leman to provoke him, but Leman still denied him the fight, and so the Lion finally gave up and left. Jeez.
Yeah, Russ was kind of just like, I'm done with this. The Lion and Russ really didn't like each other.
No, they didn't. No,
we got here. Both Leman and Magnus spoke in defense of Lorgar's antics, and that's why the Emperor did not destroy war bears outright. Did I?
Settling for humiliating them, Magnus and Russ said that their respect for Lorgar was the only thing they ever agreed on. Wow,
when did I mention Lorgar?
I don't know, but of all the people for Leman to defend, Lorgar would not be the first one that comes to mind. I would imagine that Leman would hate Lorgar, because it's kind of like the jock and the nerd, right?
Right. Well, no, I didn't add the whole Leman secretly a nerds, that kind of whole thing, like the spiritualism of them, like obviously not word bear level, but I skipped past that part because that wasn't important in the episode.
Okay.
We spent an hour and 20 minutes talking about Leman Russ. I didn't really think that the secretly nerd parts were important.
This was, in fact, partially Leman was secretly... Okay, gotcha. Okay.
What's the 6th one then, Shy? Only like 2 of these are actually
Whoa! Wall of text.
Wait a minute. These aren't... Only like 2 of these were actually. The rest of this is just additional information.
Well, sometimes it's good to have additional information alongside the actualies.
I didn't put the additional information because we were an hour and 20 minutes already into the episode. It's very long.
And of course, there are no wolves on Fenris. Meme?
Yeah, meme there. Go ahead.
Canis Helix is a special gene in space wolves that gives them their wolf-like traits and some mutations. Well, Fenris never had a local population of wolves, and their genes are nothing alike to Terran wolves. What is hinted at by Magnus and experimenting Dark Eldar is that Fenris' population during Golden Age of Tech experimented with Canis Helix-esque genetic modifications, and it's quite possible that wolves on Fenris are in fact humans who spiraled into uncontrollable mutations during the Age of Strife. It is mentioned that looking into the eyes of Fenris wolves, you can notice human-like intelligence. That explains why wolves are so eager to work with space wolves, who also have wolf-like gene mods, and why space wolves might also have some issues with that specific type of genetic mod, which I'm also sure Brick will explain in this episode. So the wolves on Fenris are just humans that have been modified to be wolf-ish.
That is it's more of a theory. I mean, so I had that in the notes for today's episode, no doubt.
Okay.
But it wasn't something that I wasn't sure if I was going to touch on it. Mainly because it's a little deep cut. And that's a little like hardcore for our episodes for the most part.
Oh, okay.
But there is a little bit like that gene thing. The Canis Helix was definitely something we are going to be chatting about today, especially because there's the concept that the Emperor had the wolf DNA in the creation of Leman Russ outside of just his own personal DNA, hence the features.
Okay.
Which is just a little bizarre that the Emperor would be like, yeah, just put some wolf in that one. Why not? Screw it.
Yeah, don't put him in any other. Just that one. Wolves. Ugh.
Yeah. The 6th one, add a wolf thing to it. Why not? Let's test. We're gonna make real cat girls. Like, oh crap, he's a dude.
Oh man.
But there is that stuff. The Canis Felix. Oh shit, the Canis Felix. Canis Helix. The Canis Helix is something that we are going to talk about as well. We'll go ahead into getting into that right now.
Yeah, let's do it. It's a good transition. Canis Helix.
Only a couple of the I'm miffed. Only a couple of those were actualities. The rest was just extra information I didn't add because long episode. I'm miffed.
Miffed.
Call me miffed.
He's chuffed.
I'm.
Oi, Sky, he's chuffed.
I can imagine an orc saying that.
Yeah, totally. I imagine an orc has said that.
Well, regardless. So Space Wolves. Space Wolves. So
Space Wolves. Ow.
Luckily for us, there isn't too much of a massive change between 30k and 40k Space Wolves. That's not saying there isn't differences, because
Just not massive.
Just not as big. As far as the whole, hey, this legion was this way in 30k, and now they are a broken down, weird version of themselves in 40k. Space Wolves are one of those factions that aren't too different than their original counterparts.
Okay.
You know, it's not like the Iron Hands that have just gone to mutilating themselves to replace the Bionics, or the Blood Angels that have really fallen down the Black Rage, or the Dark Angels and their insane paranoia.
Those have all big change. That's a big change.
Space Wolves have become a bit more insular, a bit more quick to anger, I'd say, and a bit more like you're in the club or you're not kind of vibe. But besides that, they're mostly the same.
Okay.
I'd say.
Okay.
There are genuine differences in how they operate and how they act, but for the most part, if you're thinking like, dang, all right, let's check this out. This looks like these are Space Wolves, and they are covered in pelts and have big beards, and they shout deeds and drink.
Yeah, they're Viking Space Marines.
Yeah, and that's about what they still are. They're
Good.
still Viking Space Marines for the most part.
Cool.
If we're gonna go with we're gonna start off with the appearance of Space Wolves, we might as well get into that and the Canis Helix and stuff, and move into a few other bits. So,
all right, we're coming in hot.
Naturally, the gene seed of a Space Marine makes you look like a horrifying demigod.
Sure.
Got Shy, you keep using the random Primaris Reaver as the attempt for the shitty modern Space Wolf, but we both know that's an outlier.
Be a little bit.
We both know okay, that one is a little bit virgin Space Wolf, but
yeah, a little bit.
The Heresy Space Wolves do look cool. Anyway,
they look really cool.
So the physical appearance of Space Wolves, for the most part, is affected by that thing they mentioned earlier, which is the Canis Helix. The cool. Canis Helix is a fancy kind of part. It's like a
it's like canine DNA.
Yeah, I guess it's like an altered version of the gene seed for the most part.
Because helix is like, the double helix in the DNA strand. So I just assume it's like Canis is like, wolf, dog. Helix is like, and then just,
Warhammer
kind of like what they did in Jurassic Park, where they put I'm going to replace the missing genetic code with the frog. And, hey, now we have asexual dinosaurs that can lay eggs regardless of their gender.
I mean that I don't think there's a lot of egg laying in the Space Wolves, but
I hope not.
I would hope not too. Anywho, yes, but it is basically what you just said. It is a section of the gene seed for the most part, and it's what gives them a lot of their features and their attitude. It was what makes them so acute in terms of things like sensory. They smell well. It's like dog stuff.
Yeah.
It gives
they
it grows.
They got a little canine DNA. They can smell well, and they got pointy teeth.
Yeah, it gives them fangs as well. Has them grow huge amounts of hair, which is just a part of the whole shtick. Gives them sometimes what can be considered an uncontrollable aggression, bordering on frenzy, but. These are Space Marines, and despite
maybe
the
little
fact,
bit feral,
little quick to anger at times,
short fused, sure.
But what's fascinating about this is that it also does a lot of other interesting things, like how the Night Lords eat people.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do know that.
Space Wolves also do that.
Ah, okay. Well, I guess, yeah, that makes sense.
The Space Wolves actually, even in game, had the ability of killing an enemy character has you just eat them, and it lets you gain the information that the person knew. And so often it would give you like tactical abilities if you ate the enemy character.
Was that a Norse thing at all? That I don't know why I'm thinking that, but was that ever a Norse thing where, like, if you eat someone's flesh, you gain like knowledge of their things that they had done or something like that? Was that, or am I mixing that up with just something else?
I mean, I would assume that if that was where, like, that's not a fine or not a bad guess, because everything comes from Norse mythology in the Space Wolves.
With the Space Wolves, sure.
Like, if there was at any point that kind of shtick, then yeah, that would make a lot of sense.
Makes sense, yeah.
But I don't personally know myself.
Okay. I thought Shai was going to chime in because she had a little bit of that knowledge before.
I mean, like, it's hard to tell because eating lots of weird stuff is a plenty fine Norse mythology thing. So,
you know what I think I'm mixing? I think I'm thinking of the Kroot.
Oh well, yeah, the Kroot do it.
The Kroot do that, where like they eat something and immediately it's like, hey. I think that's what I'm mixing it up with.
How'd you mix up the Kroot with Norse mythology?
I don't know. I just thought I heard it somewhere, and I was like, oh, they're all about Norse mythology, and then I was like, nope, wait, Kroot.
All right, that's fine. Anywho, so naturally that kind of gives them their more physical appearance. Even their skin can become a little thicker, a little more leathery, like a wolf pelt, for example. And as the time goes, as you spend your years in service to the Space Wolves, you actually adjust your hair color along with it. Funny enough, you start with like a brown. And then eventually you get into a more of a gray thing, and that makes you a gray hunter, which is actually a unit the Space Wolves have.
Oh, cool. It's not. I mean, isn't that what happens with everybody when they get old?
Sure, but like specifically here, okay. It's more the idea like, hey, if you're a gray hunter, you are like a veteran of the Space Wolves.
All right. Okay.
Okay. That image. Like, it makes it look like his arm is really stubby with that axe.
I mean, even his front arm.
That perspective is so strange.
Yeah, the perspective is really odd because it makes both of his arms look really, really stubby and short and weird.
He's all like sideways. Looks like he's warped.
Yeah, it really does. That's some odd. To be fair, that is not Bricky hating on art. That perspective just really is quite odd.
I can hate on art anyway.
Well, yeah.
But past that though, once you go from the gray to the thick white, like you see above, that giant dude that Shai posted, that is a good old, oh crap, Logan Grimnar. That's right, Logan Grimnar. He is the current chapter master of the Space Wolves at the moment. Also known as the High King of Fenris, the Fang Father, the Old Wolf, etc., etc.
Okay, all right. Those all fit. Sure.
He's the chapter master. He's all white bearded because when you reach the white beard, you actually become the elder warrior known as the Long Fangs. And the Long Fangs, at least in game, are actually like ranged. They're like heavy weapons, which I'm not quite sure why, but whatever.
Huh. I don't know why. I just figured that Space Wolves didn't have too many long-ranged units because they'd all want to be up in your face and ripping out your jugular.
I mean, every Space Wolf wants to rip out your jugular, but it does. Every Space Marine faction has heavy weapon teams. It's just part of the organization.
Yeah.
But I guess if we want to talk a little bit more about the Canis Helix and that kind of stuff, we got to talk about the recruitment of the Space Wolves, and I feel like that's what most people are here for anyway. Is how do the Space Wolves get recruited?
Yeah, Bricky, how do they?
You know what? I'll let you know.
Well, golly, I appreciate it.
I know. So, the recruitment of the Space Wolf is exclusively, mostly exclusively from, the call has screwed this up. The Primaris Marines arrived, and now it's a little bit wacky and weird. But is for the most part outside of that weird about Belisarius being a weirdo.
Yeah.
The recruitments for Space Wolves are exclusively taken from Fenris. Fenris, unlike the Lion's Caliban before it went bye-bye, was not turned into a massive industrial world from once the Emperor arrived.
Okay.
For the most part, Fenris is horribly inhospitable atmosphere and everything like that, and all the humans that are on it are still barbarian tribes and have stayed that way.
Mm-hmm.
So, for the most part, whenever there are major tribes kind of roaming the area, wolf priests, aka psychers,
of course.
well, actually, wait, hold on. Wolf priests and rune priests. Those are two different things. I don't think they were actually.
Oh.
No. I got it wrong. Rune priests are
the psychers.
Are psychers. Wolf priests are the chaplains.
Ah, okay. Gotcha.
So the wolf priests will kind of go out and about into the various areas of Fenris under guise of like a big old what is it? Like a hood.
Is that a wolf priest?
Oh yeah, dude. Look at the helmet.
Whoa!
Yeah, it's a chaplain, but it's a chaplain, but it's a wolf chaplain. So
that's like the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Why is that so awesome to you?
He's wearing a skull, and it's like black and gold, and like his backpack has like the gold wolf heads on it, and he's got the. That's cool. Come on.
No, I mean it's really cool. It has the.
Is that just normal for a chaplain?
So chaplains wear skull helmets, but specifically they have the. What is that animal again? I'm lost. Is it?
Oh, the one that he's wearing, or
yeah.
I don't know. I just assumed it was a canine skull, since he's a wolf priest.
Is that a wolf skull?
It better be. He's a wolf priest. What other skull would he wear?
Well, okay, that is fair. But because it looks like a Norse mythology skull type thing, and I don't know if it's specifically a wolf or a different animal.
It's gotta be a wolf.
All right, fine. We'll do that.
It's gotta be a wolf. Gotta be a wolf, right?
Oh yeah, I'm thinking of shamans wearing deer skulls. Shai's right, but yeah,
fair enough. That's fair.
Like the head chaplain, for example, is a guy named Ulrich the Slayer, and he looks like this. He's like the main dude, and he's got his wolf skull helmet and shit.
Damn, chaplains are cool. Holy jeez. Look at that man.
Wow.
He is dripped out.
Have we never done like an episode on chaplains? We talked about chaplains before, right?
I feel like we've talked about them, but these just look so cool to me. Like, hey, look, how many times have I forgotten something that we've talked about before only to revel in it later, right? So maybe we have,
Shai, can you send him a picture of like a chaplain? Like just like a good old Space Marine chaplain?
Yeah, Shai. Can't you send me a picture of a chaplain? I don't think she has one on command.
No, she's finding one. She's getting one.
I don't think she has one in her folder. Play some elevator music while we wait. So you don't have to cut this, right? You just gotta put this. There you go. Oh, hey, there it is. Oh, yeah, they're pretty cool. I don't know. The two above are way cooler though to me.
Yeah, because they're space wolf chaplains and they're wearing wolf skulls and giant pelts.
Yeah, like I've seen this chaplain before, but those ones up there are just so much better.
The new chaplains look more like classic ecclesiarchal chaplains. That are the more like Catholic version,
okay.
And then you have the Norse version, I suppose. But
yeah.
Anyway, point being, these people, the wolf priests, stalk the lands, like they're fur-clad warriors who arrive randomly in the depths of winter and challenge the most boastful and strongest tribesmen to bouts of strength and, of course, drinking.
Of course, drinking. Of course.
Now, naturally, none of them can ever beat the Wolf Priest.
I was going to say, has anyone ever even come close? It's got to be like, oh, hey, you show promise, even though I wiped the floor with you. We'll take you in and have a drink.
That's basically the concept, is that, like, hey, they end up actually finding the one who does the closest job.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Brick, you need to explain how Space Wolves can get drunk. Oh, don't worry, that's on the list, Shy.
Isn't it just like they made what is it? I remember hearing about this. It's like a ultra super fermentation, or like there's some fungus that they add that makes it like if a human drank it, they would immediately die of poisoning or something.
Yeah, I mean, we might as well talk about it right now. Yeah, Fenrisian ale is a special kind of fermentation from the native plants of Fenris. It is highly alcoholic. And it is extremely poisonous because it is able to bypass the insane engineered resistance of an Astartes. And therefore, it is the only thing. Because, alcohol is a poison.
It is.
It is classified as a poison. So, because it is so powerful that even the Space Marines' enhanced physiology cannot properly filter it. And therefore they get drunk.
Let's go. Nothing like bypassing your super genes just so you can get drunk.
It literally turns off their kidney implant, so it allows them to get drunk. It's very funny.
Hey, do what
that
you
being
do.
said, you do still need to drink a shockingly large amount of it to get drunk. So that's why their feasts are insane, and we'll talk about their feasts in a bit.
I was gonna say the Emperor had 6 barrels, and then Leman Russ just drank everything else. So
the idea that he pissed off the Emperor that way is still so funny.
That has completely turned me in favor of Leman Russ and the Space Wolves. That alone was just like, you know what? I like you guys. You guys are all right. I don't care what you did to Prospero. You're all right. You're all right.
So anyway, the Wolf Priest will grab the worthy aspirant, bring them back into the various training camps such as Rusvik, Volksburg, and Grimnir. And they'll form little units known as Wolf Brothers. The whole point is that during these insane, grueling challenges, they work as a pack to work together and have a strong bond and use their cunning and skill to go through and weed out anyone who's not worthy of everything.
Okay, team building exercises.
Pretty much, but, in horrible Space Marine versions.
Yeah, 40K team building exercises.
So the big two options here are the two gates, the trials, sorry. The two trials of Morkai. There's two trials. There's the Gates of Morkai and the Test of Morkai, also known as the Blooding.
This is starting to sound more and more like an orc thing, but go ahead.
Because Mork.
Mork, yep.
You.
Me.
You shitter.
Me. All right, continue. The Gates of Morkai and what was the other one?
The Blooding or the Test of Morkai.
Okay.
It's important to know because let me find my where is it? Let me here we go. Wolves of Fenrisian myth. So the important so a lot of the stuff that is obviously the culture of the Space Wolves is surrounded by the old wolves of Fenris, the myths of old Fenris. And for example, there was Morkai, which is the twin-headed guardian of the underworld.
They didn't want it to be Cerberus. They were like, let's do twin-headed. Let's not do 3. Let's have them guard the it's Norse, not Greek.
Yeah, but it's not Greek, so.
Yep. I did it again.
The idea is that when Leman Russ came to Fenris, he fought Morkai and his lieutenants and was able to cast Morkai down to the underworld to stand guardian and slaying any of the generals who dared face him. So these are the two heads of Morkai, the two various challenges of Morkai.
Okay.
So the first one's the Gate of Morkai. which is a crazy ass gigantic like portal surrounded by molten lava.
Oh boy.
The whole idea is that the aspirant needs to enter the portal, which looks like a big old like jaw. It's like heading first into danger kind of thing.
Okay.
You want to head directly into the portal, and as soon as you enter the portal, the rune priests, aka psychers, will just absolutely probe your mind for everything.
Yeesh. Okay.
Every single like doubt, temptation, anything and everything, just scour your brain through literally any possible issues, and
to see if you're worthy.
To see if you're worthy, to see if you have any doubt or problems.
Yeah.
There's a rune priest that Shai posted. Obviously, rune priests are very Nordic. They have lightning and wind and blizzards and stuff, but they're psychers.
You know, this is another perspective issue, but when I first saw that and I didn't like zoom in on it, I was like, is that a Votan?
He looks very short, right? I know.
I was like, he's very short. Like, aren't you a little short to be a space wolf? Like,
listen,
but then I clicked the
here.
picture and I was like, oh, okay, it's perspective again.
Listen here, Princess Leia, you bitch.
Listen here, Leia.
But yeah, there's all kinds of. They say they get their powers from Fenris, the runes on Fenris, and the power of Fenris, but it's their psychers.
They're psychers, yeah.
It's one of those jokes where like the Space Wolves are adamant that they don't have psychers because witchcraft is evil and bad. At least modern day Space Wolves, but they do have these rune priests.
Yeah, we don't, but they're not psychers, guys. No, totally not psychers. They're Fenrisian.
So, anyway, if the person is found unworthy, they will give them to their Iron Priests, Tech Marines, which will basically turn them into a servitor because they are unworthy and they will be mind wiped, and you get to be a servitor thrall. Yay!
Oh, jeez. So if you make it into the portal and you're found unworthy, you are just lobotomized and turned into a servitor, and just oh boy, I love.
Should have been worthy.
Yep, should have been worthy. Should have wiped the doubt from your mind.
So the last one, or the second part, if you go through that, is the test of Mordecai, or the blooding, which I would argue is the hardest of the tests. You need to drink from the Cup of Wulfen.
Okay.
Now, the Cup of Wulfen is how you get and absorb the gene seed of the Canis Helix. Now, the spirit of the wolf is also a thing. Shai, that is true. Shai is right. At best, you become a serf if you fail most Space Marine aspects, and most of the time, though, you do become a servitor.
Oh, yikes. Better pass those tests.
So you remember when the Blood Angels would drink like the Cup of Sanguinius, the Red Grail?
Yeah.
This is how the Space Wolves do it. They drink from the Cup of the Wolfen, which gives them the Canis Helix, and then their body starts to just rapidly transform.
It's just like the werewolf transformation almost.
It is pretty much that, yeah.
Gotcha.
You're like
horrible
your body,
agony.
Oh yeah, it grows up to like 80%. Your bones fuse, fangs sprout from your mouth. You just want to gorge on flesh. And what's even better is as soon as you drink this, they immediately grab you and like send you really damn far away from the fang, the base, just chuck you in the wilderness, and then like, all right, find your way back. Bye.
Well, I mean, if you've got the wolf blood in you, it's a doable task.
Well, the problem is you're currently undergoing this horrid transformation to your mind and body, and they just throw you into the snow on Fenris and say, "Good luck."
Oh, they don't even wait for the transformation to finish. You're still like,
oh hell no, dude.
Oh, like it's just you take a sip and like, okay, bye, yeet.
Pretty much. You have to find your way back, kid.
Wow. Yeah, that does suck. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty awful.
Yep. Yep.
There is a good chance, though, that you might end up becoming... because obviously you have tons of crazy enemies, and and wildlife on Fenris, as it's a death world. But there's the possibility that you might not properly handle the Canis Helix, and you will have the curse of the Wolfen take over you, and you will become a Wolfen. A Wolfen is basically a werewolf version, half man, half wolf, and you are a feral mutant creature that just doesn't know anything besides murder and eating.
Oh boy.
You can actually
Yuck.
run Wolfen in on the tabletop. There's models for them and everything.
Really? How do you run them if they're just mindless feral beasts?
They look like Wolverine also. I personally hate the
like
Wolfen.
Wolverine.
I think they look stupid as hell.
Yeah, that picture they look a little goof troop.
They are very goof. I do not like them. I think they look very dumb. But
yeah, this is the first Space Wolves thing I've seen that I'm just like, yeah, no.
Yeah, no, I don't like Wolfen. I think they look stupid.
Agreed.
They capture them, for example, and they use them as like troops.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So you could, even if you turn Wolfen, you could still technically serve the Space Wolves as a,
Sure, but also the curse of the Wolfen is not just when you're yeeted out into the snow. Sometimes this kind of Canis Helix effect of the Wolfen, this is the downside of their gene seed, might come into play years, tens of years later in service to the Imperium, which is why you'll see a lot of Wolfen with like Space Marine armor on, because they were Marines.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there are also Wolfen dreadnoughts.
Wow, there are Wolfen that get put in a dreadnought? Is that just like a feral dreadnought that just goes bonkers when it wakes up?
A little bit.
Nice! That's okay. I'm a little more on board with Wolfen when they get stuffed into a dreadnought and turn into just, feral killing machines in a box.
There is particularly a fancy named Wolfen dreadnought called Murder Fang.
Nice name!
Yeah.
Let's go, Murder Fang!
Murder Fang is really baller. It was pretty funny. It was they just stumbled upon him, just like ripping and tearing his way through Chaos Space Marines, and they were finally able to capture it and put it in stasis for study.
Oh yeah, I think you've told me about Murder Fang before, and they just kind of wake him up every now and then and just point him in the direction and he just goes nuts.
Pretty much. There's also the other wake him up now and again. That's Bjorn, but no one knows who Murder Fang is. They don't know who this guy is. It's just like shit. All right.
On that dreadnought, I love like those icicle claws. I don't know if they're actually icicle claws, but they kind of look like it. I like that vibe.
Claws.
The murder claws.
The Murder Fang is really fun. I particularly like their special ability, which allows them to, every time they are attacked, to immediately attack back. So
nice.
I have had the issue where Murder Fang gets in my lines with a whole bunch of like guardsmen or whatever, and he'll murder a guardsman squad, and then the guardsman will punch him back, and he's like, "Uh-oh, you punched me," and he just murders them again. And I'm like, "Oh God, Murder Fang gets to attack twice every time."
Go, Murder Fang!
Unless you kill him, of course, which is just hilarious.
Yeah. Or Murder Fang.
It's so funny, but yeah, Murder Fang's great. Anyway,
Yes.
Those who make it back to the Fang, despite all these problems, will become initiates, also known as Blood Claws.
Ooh,
To
cool
the
names.
Yeah, to initiates Blood Claws to the Space Wolves. And
Nice.
bada bing, they're back.
Yeah. Oh, so easy. So easy. Just
So
no
easy.
big deal. No big deal. No big deal. Very easy. Just have your mind probed a little bit, undergo a horrifically painful transformation while in the deepest, darkest snow pits, and just find your way back home. Bada bing, bada boom. You're a Space Wolf. Easy.
Easy. Ironically, it's actually arguably one of the most difficult of all the Space Marine chapters inductions.
Yeah, that sounds really brutal, actually.
Yeah,
it's jokes aside, that is savage. Well, it should be savage. They're Space Wolves.
Yeah, it's like top 3. I'm pretty sure it's top 3 in terms of induction.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. They don't put a demon in you. That's pretty great. Exorcists, thank you very much.
Yeah, hey, don't put a demon in you. Could be worse.
But anywho,
Jesus Christ.
this kind of segues us into the general beliefs of the Space Wolves.
Okay.
Obviously, we know they always talk about Russ and the All-Father being the Emperor.
I thought you were talking about Odin.
Oh, was I?
Dang. Shoot, of course, the
Darn.
Emperor, of course, right.
So for Space Wolves, one of their big beliefs is that they refer to their souls as threads. Their soul in their own right is a thread consistently moving, and then on death, the thread is severed. Back in the day, Space Wolves were burned on a pyre, which is not surprising.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
However, on the death of someone particularly important, they will often have a sending away feast. Before the feast, they will learn of the stories of the deceased from variable lengths of the company, because Space Wolves are all about stories and sagas and telling their own tales.
Sure.
The sending away feast lasts however long it needs to. During this time, the chamber is sealed. None may enter or leave until the conclusion of the feast. For example, after the death of, this was a funny little thing I read in the wiki, the death of Heorot Longfang during the Great Crusade, the company held a feast where 432 tales were told.
Wow.
And they were just drinking and eating the entire time.
Wow, that's a lot of tales.
It is we are in the Space Wolves, so they do have a lot of tales.
That is true. And you know what they say, funerals aren't for the dead, they're for the living.
That's true.
You know? The dead are dead. It's the living that need to cope.
So spending all those times in these feasts and telling these tales is how they do a lot of the sending away ceremonies. They also do it often on solid ground. Most of these feasts and trials, also things like judgments, are all done on solid ground. So if there's ever like some kind of important trial that must be passed, they would set down on a planet or a moon and then do the trial.
Right. Gotcha. So they'll never do it in like a void ship or something, or
no, they won't.
In space. Never.
Have GW ripped off the whole putting dead on a boat and setting on a fire thing? Well, I think they just did. It said in the past, slain Space Wolves were generally burned on a pyre. So,
well, pyre doesn't necessarily have to be on a boat. Pyre can be just, pyre is just a funeral pyre, Doesn't have to be on a boat.
That is true.
Duh, Bricky! Sorry, I couldn't help it.
Are you happy?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy now, actually.
All right. So there are also a ton of other kind of traditions they like to do. There are obviously a lot of the runes that they like cast, which have great importance. But also it runes power psychers. There is the eyes of aversion, which are kind of fun little eyes that they put on different kinds of walls to ward away sorcery or evil. The idea is that if you put an eye of aversion on a wall and then Space Wolves see it, it's like enemies in front. Don't go there.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Keep your eyes open.
There are all of the insane wolves of Fenrisian myth. They're the Black Mane, the Great Devourer, funny enough.
Ooh, cool name. Very
Lokir,
cool names.
The Lone Wolf, the Night Runner, the Spirit Wolf, Thengir, the Wolf King, Wolf of the Red Moon, the wolf that stalks between stars, etc.
Wow, the Space Wolves are great at naming stuff.
They like the word wolf.
Well, true, but still, these are pretty dope names. I gotta say, so far so good with the naming stuff. Space Wolves.
You'll notice also a lot of these names are often attributed sometimes to the major heroes of the Space Wolves. Often they're called deed names. It's very orky. There's a guy with a bionic power fist, so his name is Barrack Thunderfist. Or
that's fair, yeah.
The guy who's really good at causing lightning, so it's Niall Stormcaller.
True. Fitting names, but still cool.
And also, yeah, like Ragnar Blackmane, for example, is named after the Blackmane, the deadliest of all Fenrisian wolves, for example.
Okay, cool. Still love it.
This is actually where you get into a lot of their characters, because was it 1, 2, 3, 4,
you said
5,
11, right?
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yes, 11 named characters that you can run on the tabletop, which is even funnier because this is a screenshot of all of the not even characters, other members of the Space Wolves that have been
Yowie,
that have been shown.
Whoa. that's a lot. That is a lot.
Those are just the other members. These are the Heresy era members. Space Wolves like their names.
Yes, they do. Oh my god.
They love their insane tales and their insane sagas. And like we talked about Logan Grimnar once already, right? And and Logan Grimnar is a absolute baller, but I know Shai would probably want to save a lot of his stuff for the months of shame.
So we'll
wait.
Important, huh? Okay.
Yeah, we'll wait for that. That being said, his mini is a little goofy, but his Storm Rider mini, it's often known as the Santa Sleigh.
Okay. I'm assuming his older mini is just like it sucks because it's old, and the new one is cool because it's new.
A little bit, but it's just. Hey, Shai, there's your boat. That is the
Santa sleigh. Yeah, there's your boat. That is a little on the nose, but it's one of those times where it's like, yeah, is it on the nose? It sure is. Does it make it any less cool? No. That's dope as hell. I love that. Even though it is a Santa sleigh boat, I kind of love it though. That's pretty rad.
You know,
you got to admit that's pretty rad.
I was thinking, like, all right, how am I going to go through all of the deeds of the individual characters in the Space Wolves for today's episode? And then I soon realized after getting through like 3 of them that I just can't do it with enough time.
I was kind of assuming that was going to be its own thing, like you were going to do today as like the overview of Space Wolves, and then it's like let's talk about the 11 named characters in another episode. It's like there's no way. How
do I say this? It's not even the fact that it's the 11 named characters. It's the fact that, like, because normally when there's a lot of named characters, you can kind of skim past some of the smaller ones. But because these are all Space Wolves, their saga is ridiculous.
Yeah, they've got to have just... Because to get a name like that, you would have had to have done something pretty important. And if there are 11 of them, yeah.
Oh, crap. You want me to talk about Hellfrost weapons, Shai?
Oh, let's go. These names, love them. Hellfrost, let's go, dude. I'm assuming I see the way it's spelled Hel. Is that more like
Helheim?
Norse hell? Yeah, Helheim, right? It's like the Norse underworld.
So Hellfrost weapons are a special one that are found with crystals only in the most remote corners of the Fenrisian wilds. And it fires a beam of sub-zero energy that instantly encases enemies in blocks of ice close to absolute zero, colder than the vacuum of space.
Whoa! So they're Mr. Freeze.
They are Mr. Freeze. If they can try to move away or break free sometimes, but if they can't, they will be in a glacial tomb forever, or then shattered into a million pieces.
Yeah. Also, wow, is that a Tech Marine, I assume?
No, idiot. It's an Iron Priest.
Oh, duh.
We don't
totally
have
different.
Tech Marines
they don't
here.
have Tech Marines. Of course. It's very cool.
I find their
cool.
wolf helmet with all of the tubes in it, kind of like a snout, really cool.
Yeah, yeah. I also really like that the mechanical arm has a wolf head on it too. That gold wolf face.
That is
really cool.
that is really cool.
Yeah.
There's actually a couple really neat Space Wolf flyer craft that use Hellfrost weapons called the Stormfang gunship and the Storm Wolf. They look a lot like giant flying Norse like boat barges.
Nice.
And that's just fun, you know?
Oh yeah, love it. I have 180'd on the Space Wolves. They're so dope.
Look at that big barge.
Yeah, look at that big old barge. Jeez.
It's kind of crap, but in game, but god damn it, is it fun looking.
Is that a space barge, or are you just happy to see me?
I'm always happy to see you.
Whoa, hey.
Whoa.
Hey now.
Hey now.
Hey now.
Hey.
You're an all-star.
Get your game on?
Yeah,
Go
you got
play.
it. You get it. All that glitters is gold.
Man, Space Wolves, guys. I can imagine the picture of like a Space Wolf fan, the little flag that says "I love Space Wolves," and he's like covered in Nordic runes, watching this, just like so upset right now.
So upset. Why I love the Space Wolves now. They're so cool.
I did not know very much about the Space Wolves before because I assumed they were just Vikings in space. And in fairness, I wasn't wrong.
They kind of are, but that's kind of dope. That's really cool.
It's gotten a lot farther and more interesting with time. Like, you know what? All right. I want to talk about Bjorn.
Yeah, let's talk about Bjorn.
I want to talk about Bjorn because Bjorn.
Let's do it.
Bjorn is absolutely such a Chad, and it made me even like the Space Wolves more. So Bjorn the Fell-Handed was one of the major people that worked with Leman Russ during the heresy. He's, he's the Fell-Handed because he lost an arm, and all that kind of jazz. But he was just, really, it was a classic tale of a space marine. Young warrior, great potential, underwent multiple crusades and killed the enemies of the Imperium during the Great Crusade. Yay.
Yeah. Is that a picture of him? Holy Jesus, that's good art.
Yeah, he's cool.
Wow. I'm assuming his arm got replaced with just a giant thunderclaw.
Yeah, pretty much.
Nice.
Because he was originally Bjorn the he was Bjorn the Fell-Handed for a while. He had a different name, I thought. It was like Bjorn, not the Fell-Handed, but it was something else. But
I feel like if you're a space wolf, that is the proper thing to do. It's like, oh, I lost an arm, better get it replaced with a power claw, lightning claw.
Well, also remember their names are like orc logic deed names, so he's the Bjorn Fell-Handed.
Yeah.
But eventually, after serving all the time in the Crusade, he was there when Leman Russ left. He's kind of pissed about that. He harbors a bit of resentment for just like leaving.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. But eventually, Bjorn fought off a new some kind of uprising or something like that. It wasn't particularly noteworthy.
Okay.
Or at least not for today. Proxima Rebellion, that's right.
Okay.
He was eventually damaged so much that he had to be interned into a dreadnought, which is why now Bjorn the Fell-Handed is an old school venerable dreadnought.
Okay.
He is only awoken from his slumber every so often, and it's always goddamn hilarious to me. Because he still has his fell hand in dreadnought form, which is hilarious.
I was gonna say, like, if ever there was gonna be a dreadnought that just had dual power claw things, like those little pincer claw things, surely him, or at least one of them, right?
At least one of them.
Yeah. He does still have that. That's great.
So humorously, he is only woken up every so often, once every 1,000 years. Also, he is woken up whenever they hold court at a great feast, where he will be awoken and he'll recount the deeds of the heresy and the Great Crusade, and they just kind of wake him up, and then he's like, all right, let's do this shit. He's very like old man.
Well, he should be. I mean, and once every 1,000 years, and he's just recounting all the stuff that happened in the Horus Heresy. So, yeah.
Yeah, Shai's right. He's genuinely like World War II grandpa of Space Wolves.
They just roll him out of bed so he can tell stories.
Pretty much. One of my favorite bits of lore is he has the Battle of the Fang, which is when the Space Wolves were getting attacked by Magnus the Red and Thousand Suns to try to burn their planet down instead after Prospero.
Oh, yeah.
Now, he's already a dreadnought at this point, but he was awoken during this and naturally really pissed off. But Bjorn specifically fought Magnus himself.
Wow.
Which is absolutely hilarious because he inflicted the most damage on Magnus that he had suffered since the heresy. And even after Magnus destroyed both of Bjorn's weapon arms, he still started like smacking him just like with his body.
He's just body slamming him?
Pretty much.
Also, Bjorn went toe-to-toe with a Primarch and did a lot of damage to him?
Yeah, Bjorn's a baller, dude. He's like really smart.
Bjorn is... I mean, when you said Chad, you were not kidding. Like, Jesus.
Yeah, like, it says here, Bjorn's strikes help to inflict the greatest damage upon Magnus that the demon Primarch had suffered since the heresy. Even after Magnus destroyed both of Bjorn's weapon arms, Bjorn attempted to continue the fight, trying to knock Magnus over the edge of the cliff they battled upon.
Wow.
He was pulling off some Monty Python shit.
Tis but a scratch. Tis but a flesh wound.
I'll bite your legs off.
I'll bite. I mean, to be fair, he isn't a giant dreadnought, so headbutting with that big ol' dreadnought body, that'll do some damage. You'll still cause a little carnage.
You can just shoulder check the shit out of him, and it's good. He was also woken up for the months of shame, but we'll talk about that later. In game, you can run Bjorn, and I really like him because he's like ludicrously tanky.
As well, he should be. Well, as any dreadnought really should be, but him more so than the rest, probably.
He's got not like a particularly nasty profile for his armor, but he halves his damage and has a feel no pain, which makes him about as... He has the 2 rules that Catan have, which is hilarious.
Wow, okay.
And he still hits pretty hard because he's a Space Wolf.
Yeah, and a dreadnought.
So
yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
He's great. Yeah, I love Bjorn. Bjorn was reckoned to have a personal kill count higher than that of some entire chapters. So they wake him up.
He's been around for a while.
Yeah, they wake him up and everything, and they're just like, Bjorn, recount us with tales. And he's like, all right.
And he gets in his rocking chair, gets a pipe, and yep.
There's a great little bit, and this is part of the months of shame, and I know Shai knows the part I'm talking about, but I do want to talk about this because it's just so good.
Okay.
He's meeting with the Inquisition. The months of shame is a weird time between the Inquisition and the Space Wolves, but one of the Inquisitors is like, duly appointed representative of the God Emperor. He says, God Emperor? He like gears slipping like he's laughing. Like calling him a god is how all this mess started.
It's true.
It's true. Nothing, like times change, and that's the truth of it. Now, what brings you to the night sky above Fenris? And he's like, please name yourself, sir, as I have done, so the negotiations may begin in good faith. It's like, are you blind, little man? It is written on my coffin. He points to himself and says Bjorn.
Wow. That is pretty great. It's like, hello!
His name is Bjorn, called the Fell-Handed, first great wolf of the chapter and second high king of Fenris after Jarl Russ, the Primarch himself. And the Inquisitor looks at it and says, you walked in the age of the Emperor? And he chuckles again and says, walked, ran, pissed, and killed. I did it all. I met the Allfather, fought at his side more than once. I do believe he liked me. And so the Inquisitor immediately goes to his knees, and Bjorn's like, "Oh, for not you as well." God damn it.
Bjorn is based. Bjorn is based as hell. That is
every time someone sees him, they kneel, and he's like, "God damn it, stop it!"
Don't you guys know this is what caused all this? Jeez.
There's a gal, one of the Inquisitor gals there, who's apparently from Fenris as well. So when she saw him, she was like, "Oh my god,
holy shit, it's Bjorn."
That's the whole point of Bjorn, is that he's just got this old grumpy grandpa vibe to him.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also fought alongside the Emperor in the Great Crusade.
So he's kind of earned his old grumpy grandpa stat. He's definitely earned it.
Yeah, so whenever they're having like a giant feast and everything, whenever they're celebrating a new great hunt, or 100 years has passed since Leman Russ went missing, and they fill the horn of mead for his return. Whenever they're all like, loud, boisterous space wolves, but the moment he speaks, everyone shuts up.
Oh yeah,
everyone's like,
yep.
Quiet.
Yep.
It's Bjorn's time to speak.
Yep. His voice carries weight.
And God, like, there are so many other space wolves that we can discuss. Let me find their names, because they're so good.
Yeah, do you think they pour mead into his coffin fluid?
Like I would if I was him. Yeah, you got to get drunk, so they put the mead in his amniotic
fluid. Yeah.
What do we got here? We got Arjek Rockfist, Bjorn the Fell-Handed, Canis Wolfborn, Harold Deathwolf, Crom Dragon Gaze, Logan Grimnar, Lucas the Trickster, Murderfang, Niall Stormcaller, Ragnar Blackmane, Ulrich the Slayer. All characters you can run in game.
Wow, that's a lot.
It's shenanigans, I tell you.
I was kind of hoping you were going to keep going so I could tell Shy to do the poker rap thing again, but
the poker rap?
Yeah, you've never forget it. Don't worry about it. Just forget it.
Okay, fine.
Just don't worry about it. You never watched Pokemon as a kid?
No, I didn't. I was one of those assholes that was like, Yu-Gi-Oh is better, so I only watched Yu-Gi-Oh.
Well, Yu-Gi-Oh was all right as a kid. I give you that. Anyway, continue.
I really liked what was like the Brooklyn guy?
Joey Wheeler.
Yeah, I like Joey's VA a lot. He was so funny.
That's fair. I'll give you that. That's fair. Good going, Yug.
Other than that, though, for the most part, especially like when it comes to the Space Wolves overall, what you just need to know is that they're obviously big murder melee folks. They have a ton of culture in their look, between their pelts and their hairstyles and their names. They use giant axes and stuff instead of regular swords.
Naturally.
They run into battle with wolves, on wolves, with wolves. They have dreadnoughts of wolves. Well, they have all this kind of crazy stuff to go along with them, but more than anything, they're there to build themselves a saga, to build themselves a story. And that's what their game rule is. Deeds worthy of saga. What it is that once you complete a certain saga, you get a bunch of benefits. So if you have the Saga of the Warrior Born, where a character destroys another character, your whole army gets a benefit. The Saga of the Bear is have a character be reduced to half their wounds but still survive. Gives everyone a power. Saga of the Beast Slayer, Saga of Majesty, so on and so forth.
That sounds handy. What's the best saga to have?
I'd probably say the Saga of the Beast Slayer. It gives you your army gives you lethal hits, which is pretty good. But Saga of the Bear is pretty cool. It makes them all tough. Makes them all tankier.
Fair enough. Shy also wanted to add that despite all these animalistic stuff, brutal training, boasting, horrible drinking, lover violence, etc., Space Wolves are actually pretty based and do care about human population about as much as the salamanders do. Really?
Yes,
I guess that makes sense, because that would go into like making a great saga for yourself, right? As I saved X amount of people, and yeah, that makes sense.
That goes into the months of shame. The Space Wolves do care a ton about the human population, but that is definitely a months of shame thing.
Ooh, okay.
So
Okay.
they are not as uncaring, and it's probably because they share a certain level of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, people like to drink and bang and eat. And while the Space Wolves may not be doing much banging, they are very much a eating and drinking group and having big fun stories and tales. So crazy deeds of heroism are,
yeah,
kind of like the idea of like a guardsman holding out a post for days by himself is a deed worthy of song.
Oh yeah, that would make a great verse in your saga.
Yeah, so because of that, that's the big part of it. That's the addition.
Right.
That's where it adds all of that enjoyment. It's being
People
able to
sing of my glory because I saved a planet of unarmed innocence from chaos itself.
And as he himself, murder wolf man, took a rhino full of civilians and pushed it back to base by himself over 3 days. His muscles ached and his legs burned, but yet the deed
saved them all.
He saw
casualties.
the eyes of the All-Father in front of him to allow and to push him forward. And these humans sung of his deeds through a song and drink through the days that came. Like that kind of shit.
I like the Space Wolves. I
too.
love the Space Wolves now. They're based.
There are very few. I like most Marine armies, but I would probably be interested in collecting Space Wolves if their models, their own personal models, their characters and stuff were just a bit better. They're a little old.
A little outdated.
So
Gotcha.
I would be pretty down for it if they weren't as old as they were.
Maybe when Leman Russ comes back,
I mean, yeah, in like 10 years.
Hey, eventually. Eventually.
Yeah. Oh goodness, you chose probably the worst one, Lucas the Trickster. He's your Loki kind of ripoff version.
Oh boy, that is unfortunate.
Oh,
Yeah,
I got it.
boy.
Shy, can you do a mini versus image of Arjak Rockfist?
Is it worse than this?
No, it's actually kind of okay. But
okay.
Arjak Rockfist makes me laugh a lot because of what he is.
Does he just have a big boulder fist or something?
No, he has a big hammer called Faux Hammer. But it's
As soon as you said that, I thought it was like a fake hammer, like FAUX hammer, faux hammer.
No, it's Mjolnir. He throws it and recalls it back to his hand.
Oh wow, that's okay.
Yeah,
Right.
it has a built-in teleporter to return to his gauntlet.
Okay, that is a
Yeah.
little on the nose, G-Dub.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's well, hey, good mini though.
Mini's okay. He's got a little
Mini's
funky of a
pretty
face, but yeah.
Literally Mjolnir though, huh?
It is literally Mjolnir.
Literally Mjolnir. Well done, GW. Well done.
Can you? Okay, I have to ask. Can you guess the deal with Crom Dragon Gaze might be?
That sounds like he's got a flamethrower.
Oh, no. Think more literally.
Does he literally have like laser eyes or something?
You bet your ass he does. He's got a bionic eye.
Okay.
Crom Dragon Gaze. And like I said, it's
cool
orc.
name. Yeah, it is very orc. You're right. Very orky.
That's I think the fun part about Space Wolves, and what I think people can really appreciate about it is the fact that, like, hey, I'm a new person into 40K. Are the Space Wolves like Vikings in space? Yes. It's like, is there more to them than that? Yes. Do you want to know more about it? Up to you. They both work.
Yeah. That's yeah.
It's it's really all just about how you want to look at it, like
how deep you want to go into the rabbit hole.
And the hole certainly does go deep. No, don't. Shut up. Shut up. Speak less. I already do all the talking in these episodes anyway. That's why I'm quiet during a Detective Ridiculous.
Is that how we're going to end the episode, with the hole going deep?
Shut your deep hole and end the episode, says Shy. All right, fine.